foundation the best chance to kind of see how it wears like it normally would in an average day, I'm going to apply my moisturiser and primer as I normally would and then go from there. So I have the Ombre Elise Creme Concentrate. This is quite like a moisturising base, but I find in the winter my oily skin still gets very dry, so I'm applying this first all over in a thin layer. And then the next step, I am just going to get my mirror ready there as well so I can see what I'm doing. And the next step is Soap & Glory's One Heck of a Blot. That's the primer I use. It does keep me quite mattified throughout the day, which is great. So I just apply that. Again, it's just another clear lotion, but it does help your makeup sit better. So now I have my moisturiser and my primer down, I'm going to apply the foundation. So the Vichy Dermablend Foundation. This is meant to be quite good for acne scarring, which I have quite a lot of around my chin. You can probably just about tell on the camera. And this is in the shade 05 Porecelain. So this is a new shade for them. I've tried this before years ago and it was so dark and so orange, even the lightest shade. And this 05 Porecelain now is a new addition to the range, so me being pale, it's great to test it out to see actually how pale it is and does it make you look orange. Some of the drugstore foundations, they claim to be suitable for pale people and they're not, so this is a good first impressions and you'll see on camera if it doesn't match my skin. So I'm going to apply that. So it's a liquid foundation, so I'm going to apply it with my beauty blender, which I do normally if I use for my Estee Lauder foundations or my MAC foundations, even my L'Oreal one. Anything liquid and quite heavy, I'll use my beauty blender damp just to kind of help it sink in, spread it around quite evenly. I don't use foundation brushes anymore, much prefer the beauty blender, so I'm going to use that today with the Vichy foundation. So I'm just popping a bit on the back of my hand there, and then I'm just going to get my mirror and try and make sure it doesn't cover the camera while I apply it, so you guys can see as well. Okay, so I'm just gently, I'm going to go with a thin layer first, just to see how it fares, because ideally you'd only want to put a thin layer on if possible, and then only build up in the areas that you have some more scarring or any more spots. So I'm just going to build up small layers. I think the foundation is a tiny touch too dark from first impressions, but I mean, for reference, in MAC I'm an NW or NC10, which is the palest shade, and in Estee Lauder Double Wear I think I'm an N1N1 I think, which is the neutral palest shade. I am very, very pale, as you can probably tell. So I'm just carrying on dabbing this on with my beauty blender. So far I can tell like the coverage as it comes on is quite good. Seems to have covered most of the redness around my chin here. You probably see from my forehead up here the difference that it's made. It doesn't feel too heavy at the moment. Sometimes some foundations will set and then feel heavy afterwards, so I'm going to see once I've applied it all and put the powder on to match whether it becomes quite heavy and cakey, but hopefully not. Okay, so I'm trying to blend it down my neck as well, because I can definitely tell that this is a tiny bit too dark for me. But I can make it work. Normally if this happens, I'll just kind of use quite a light concealer to highlight the face and bring all the points back out. And just put a bit over my eyes to get rid of some of the redness as well. Okay. Generally I think the coverage is quite good. It seems to have covered a lot of the redness around the bottom of my chin here where I've got some spots or some, you know, acne scarring. I think it's drying down now to more of a matte finish where it was more of a satin, so you know, it kind of looked a tiny bit shiny on the skin, but I think it is now drying down a little bit more matte. So I mean, overall I think I might need a tiny touch bit more concealing on my chin, just to get rid of any of the extra bits of redness from the scars. So I might just go back over that bit here, so the majority of them around in my chin area, just hormonal breakout, so I'm just going to go over that. Yeah, so that was quite a thin layer for me. I tried not to use too much, just to give it an idea of what a very light coverage, a very light application would give you coverage wise, and I think that majority of that has covered up, and I'd be happy to go out the house with that. So now I'm just going to carry on and do my concealing routine. So this is the Maybelline Instant Anti-Age Eye Eraser. Okay, so that's all blended in, and I've blended that out with the beauty blender. And this is where I would go and do my lighter concealer colour. So this is LA Girl Pro Conceal. Does it say the shade? Yeah, Porecelain, which is the lightest one. And this is a really heavy coverage concealer. So if you've got quite a lot of acne scarring, or perhaps you really don't like your under eye circles, this is ideal. It's very thick and I'm not having any issues with the foundation moving while I'm trying to blend out my concealer. Sometimes I find that some foundations, they don't like anything to sit on the top, so they kind of move around while you're trying to apply something else on top, especially any cream products. This seems to be fine, so that's good. Powder as well, because that was sent to me as well. So this is a Vichy Dermablend powder, so it's just, as you can see, a transparent powder. It's suitable for any skin tone, so that's quite easy. It's one of those loose powders, so it comes with a puffer, which I don't tend to use, just because they seem to be a bit more unhygienic, and they actually do cake a lot of powder on, so I would much rather tap a little bit out and go from there. It's just got one of those sticky lids, so I'm just going to take that off. And then it's got kind of holes in the centre there where you can tap the product out from. I'm just going to tap it into the lid, so I've got a surface to kind of pick up from. So I mean, it's not coming out loads, so I wouldn't worry that it's going to get everywhere. It's literally just little bits. Okay, so that's probably about enough. So as you can see, I've just tapped it into the lid there, and you can see it's got quite a bit there now, so I can go ahead with that. So as you can see, my brush has picked up quite a lot there, so I'm just going to tap off again, just to make sure that there's not like an excess amount on there and it's going to, you know, make my face look white. So I normally start with my T-zone because that's where I need the most powder. Okay, so that's a very light layer there. So that's just kind of touched it down, the foundation a tiny little bit more matte, which is great. So and I don't think it's changed the colour, obviously being translucent. It's not kind of interfered with the colour of the foundation, which is great, because, you know, some coloured powders, they kind of make you look more and more orange, but you want to kind of keep yourself mattified, so it's hard to find that balance. Whereas at least this one, because it is white, you know, it's not going to transfer any colour. So I'm quite happy with that. It seems, you know, reasonably matte, but I still got a tiny little bit of glow, so it's not like too flat. So that's all my makeup done on, I'm now going to take some photographs. So if you head over to the blog, I should have some before and after photos, just so you can see the foundation a little bit better. Generally though, I think it's got really good coverage. I think it would wear quite nicely because it's semi, you know, half satin, half matte, so it is matte but it has that slight sheen, so it's not too flat. I think the powder's great because, well, it's just translucent powder, so you can't really go wrong with it, and I think it has smoothed over any kind of imperfections and doesn't look too cakey, which is great. As for how long they wear, I mean, I'm probably going to write a bit more up on the blog about that because I'll be wearing it today, and I'll get to see if it kind of lasts and how long it stays before it gets you know, shiny, lets any of the oils through. So just check the blog for the blog post and see how I liked it and before and after photos, so this will kind of accompany that as well. So this is the finished look, just really plain and simple, just my average day makeup, just so I can kind of see what the foundation's like and what it's like to apply. Overall, I'm quite happy with the foundation. I'd be happy to go out and wear it out. It seems to have covered all my scarring, which is perfect, and I think they'll become part of my foundation collection, and I'll use them quite a lot on day-to-day basis because it seems to have covered everything nicely. So hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to try and film some more soon, so bear with me. Until next time, bye guys!